Right, thank you very much for joining us. This is the OurNet presentation, January 2018. Carl Munson here, along with founder of OurNet, Michael Brodie.
Hello there. Good to have you watching this.
www.ournet.news, empowering communities for a world that works.
So the purpose of this is that OurNet is designed to help communities get in touch with each other, make contact with each other, create a world where communication is easy and empowering.
President Donald Trump of the United States of America. For me, this sums up a situation we have in the world right now where there can be a single person or a situation that can cause so much unhappiness and unrest, yet the populations of these respective situations seem to be able to do so little about it. Take Brexit, for example, Catalonia. We have a very polar time that we're living in. We have the promise of digital democracy, yet we seem to be stuck in a dark age in terms of representation and people truly having their opinions heard. But can we really bring about any serious change?
So the issue is at the moment that people get into power because a lot of other people seem to think that there's no alternative, and people are looking for change, and they'll vote anything to get that change. They're offered a binary choice. President Trump, President Clinton. People at the top don't really know what's going on, so Donald Trump was a surprise. Brexit was a surprise to all the people in control. What is it about the structures of communication, about social feedback, which has those events materialising?
And the great irony of our times, really, where people are so articulate in some ways and verbal and able to express their opinions, but actually for situations to not be able to change very easily. And
of course, we make a decision, a binary decision, once every 5 whatever years. You know, it's not really a full implementation of democracy.
So you might say that people deserve something a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
So essentially what we're looking for is a world that works. What we're saying about Trump, Brexit, Catalonia, and any number of global issues at the moment is there is a lack of representation, and there is serious injustice and inequity. And for us at OurNet, we're looking for a world that works. Not only a world that works, but a world that works for all.
Absolutely. So the difference is, what is it that makes the difference? People try changing things all the time. They make little tweaks to existing situations, but actually that makes very, very little difference. What we need is a new context in which to communicate. We need a new context that we can live our lives through. Was it Einstein that said, you can't solve a problem from within the bounds of that existing problem?
Or then the level at which it happens.
The level at which it happens. Yeah. You have to go up a level so that you can really see clearly what the problem is.
Yeah.
Change at that level, and then the problem level sorts itself out. It transforms.
Or in other words, we are, as humanity seems to be fighting it out at the results level,
yep,
rather than seriously addressing the causes of the symptoms that we experience.
Absolutely. Change Trump, nothing will change. You know, Obama was here for change. Arguably there were improvements on some areas, but lots of things got worse in his area.
Yes.
Presidents don't really make the difference.
So it's systemic change that would help, rather than the proverbial moving around of furniture on the Titanic.
Yeah. OurNet will be completely familiar in all sorts of ways because they're familiar tools on a unique platform. But actually what's really new about OurNet is it creates a new context, and the new context is individual involvement in creating communities. Platforms like Facebook talk about making connection. You can sort of talk to people around the world, but actually that doesn't solve anything. What really will make a difference is people able to organise themselves in social groupings, a mesh of communities rather than individuals connecting to each other.
What we're realising, it's us that needs to do the work, but that work can be more or less effective depending on the context that we define and the quality of tools available to us.
Absolutely. It's actually developing the concept of social intelligence as opposed to individual intelligence or artificial intelligence. It's using the power of social intelligence to organise the world for us.
Okay, so what might it look like in operation? And you can see the list there. Citizen publishing, income generation, decentralised peer refinement, news, pages, groups, forums, communication systems, messaging, chat and video, events and classifieds. Most of those people will be familiar with. There's one thing there, peer refinement, which might be worth talking about here.
So the context, which is completely different for OurNet than almost any other platform, is that you get a very personalised magazine which is tuned to your location, your interests and your communities. And the magazine is created by individuals voting on individual articles, individual contributions, and the favoured contributions rise, the disfavoured contributions fall, and people get social feedback onto how what they're providing to the community is viewed by that community. So the intention is to encourage people to adopt appropriate behaviour to the community in which they belong.
Okay, so we have a social interreactive magazine, interreactive rather than interactive, that handles a community's every communication with the tools we've just talked about there.
So it's it's absolutely encouraging, incidentally, trust over truth.
And can be verified by the community interacting with itself.
Absolutely.
And individuals with each other.
So we get the top trending articles in the categories that we're interested in. We get quick links to our local authority, local government pages. We get quick links to local hospital pages, all the sort of the social organisation which we interact with daily. It also means that those pages we can vote on. The publishers of those pages get feedback onto what the public think about their communications. So it starts to give real social feedback so that the people at the top tend to know what's going on.
Hence the expression peer refinement.
Absolutely.
So the process of bringing news to a community, and the community can be of any scale.
Yep.
But the process is one of the community verifying, ranking its perception of that news.
Yes.
So we are talking essentially about news here, aren't we? We're talking about what's new and what is information to a community.
Well, it can in fact be anything. It could be news, which is basically statements of things which have happened, or it could be opinion. And the opinion could be about anything. So the opinion could be about the news. The opinion could be about what we could be doing as opposed to what we are doing. So people could be proposing local developments or national developments or even global developments. So people will be able to join groups which actually facilitate their interests. And they can present information or they can present opinion, because actually all information fundamentally is opinion, can present their opinion in whatever way suits them, whether it's by writing, whether it's by video, whether it's by podcasts, or indeed in local chat or group interest chat or forums. People have the opportunity to use any of those.
It's almost like the refinement of oil, isn't it? Or the cream rising to the top. What's most germane and valuable and respectful or respectable rises up through the exchange or market of that community's information.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
And interestingly, you use the term market, because if you compare this to the financial markets, organisations which are really making some sort of contribution to the community, whether you like what they're doing or not, tend to become more powerful. If they're organised well, they tend to rise, and the ones which do it badly tend to fall. We've learned that actually it's a fairly effective way of some sort of fundamental organisation of society throughout the world to allow those markets to control it.
So we came up with the concept of the virtual village. It said it takes a village to raise a child. We think that the village vibe, if you like, the village atmosphere is a good place to raise and support anybody, everybody. And the beauty of OurNet is that it will bring the values of the village, of which there are many, together with the scale and impact of the internet, arguably one of humanity's greatest inventions.
Yeah.
Currently, we having moved to Lisbon, Portugal, we are looking for a technical team to get things off the ground.
Yeah, sure. We're looking for probably 4 programmers. An initial site has been developed. It's been suspended because it doesn't fully reflect the concept. We're looking at a technical team to develop that site and implement a significant number of improvements. And we're also looking for 2 front-end experts, probably a graphic designer and probably a user experience, a UX designer.
Our new premises, you can see there, the fabulous Village Underground.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's somewhat anarchic. It's a bit quirky.
Maybe we should say something a little bit about what we're looking for more generally from people who want to come and be part of the team. Attitude and an interest in, well, more than a passion for transformation is very important, isn't it? Rather than purely technical skill alone.
Yeah, I mean, we can get technical skill anywhere in the world, but actually what we're looking for is inspired people that are prepared to really go out there and change the way in which the world works.
You'll see there that a major inspiration from OurNet came from Chiswick W4, a community website based in West London. We're looking forward to the end of this year, having launched the site within a couple of months of being at Village Underground. We're hoping to have 1,000 thriving groups on OurNet, proving the virtual village concept and the concept of peer refinement. Truly a new context for how people relate to each other on the internet.
This is one of the motivators for OurNet. The intention is that OurNet is a global open space, which is organised by people getting involved with the elements that they're actually interested in. I mean, an awful lot of businesses and organisations have people going to endless meetings talking about stuff that they have no interest in. You might have 1 or 2 people at a meeting who are passionate about what they're doing, but a lot of the rest of the people are there because they feel they have to be. OurNet is about people making decisions, getting involved in the things they're interested in. So the second thing is trust over truth. There's a huge amount in the media about truth. So the really interesting thing about truth is I think there's something nearly 7 billion people on the earth, and there are 7 billion different interpretations of how the world is and how it works. And looking for truth actually is a great way towards some sort of dictatorship. Peer-to-peer refinement and recognition is a methodology by which we invest in each other and in our communities, developing trust. Much like eBay, if you're a dodgy eBay seller, people tend to stop buying from you. On OurNet, if you're a dodgy information provider, people will stop listening to you. So you start to modify your behaviour.
Well, you're seen as a comedian instead.
Yeah.
A different type of asset to the community.
Yeah.
We're using loosely a term crowd mining. So it's the mining of useful information takes place by people investing seriously in each other and their community.
Yes.
So it's really caring about what goes on and taking responsibility in your community. And I think the more people do that, the more valuable the relationships and the information that arises becomes.
Yes. Exactly.
So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's common sense, isn't it? But the more people care, the likelihood, the more valuable and supportive their community will be. And this will be an explicit process that people, by investing their time and attention in each other and caring about the quality of information that flows between each other, that will be a refining process.
Absolutely.
About which we are loosely using the term crowd mining, the mining of decent information and relationships.
Absolutely.
A respect for the nuances and grey areas, I'm sure, even though it takes a longer time and is more effort, will bring greater results for the whole and ultimately a world that works. Another aspect, connecting what you were saying with how sometimes people at work spend a lot of time in meetings they don't want to be at and sending possibly emails to people they don't want to talk to. With OurNet, we're talking about an open space technology where people do what they love rather than spend a lot of time avoiding what they dislike, which would be a feature of the modern world, you could say. Another side of that is how people might create a livelihood from being online, from mining information and respect within their communities. And we're seeing this. We're seeing the ideas of universal basic income and the idea of earning from contribution and curation of content online. As crazy as that idea sounded a year ago, it's starting to gather ground. You know, there are examples of it happening, and there's no reason why that shouldn't scale up or become an accepted and not ridiculous part of people's consciousness about the internet and about work, for that matter. Yeah. Two new developments are cryptocurrency and the blockchain, which may help in making that more possible via a community site and news or information content providers such as OurNet. Do you want to say some more about that, Mike?
We are intending to implement our own currency called the Our Bit or something like that. And the idea is that anyone that contributes to this site will earn some Our Bit. In fact, they'll be creating Our Bits. Those Our Bits will be usable on the site to buy site services, whether it's advertising, whether it's private groups, whatever it is. It'll also be usable to buy services from people that use the site, so it becomes an internal currency. And the intention also is to put it on an exchange, so it'll be usable. It'll be exchangeable for fiat currencies, for dollars, pounds, or euros, or maybe other currencies. That idea is growing, and the thought of earning money from your contribution to the site, whether it's just your opinions, or whether it's something humorous, or whether it's factual, the more interesting articles, the ones that attract people, will also attract advertising, and the writer of the article will get the majority of that advertising income. So they'll be able to earn ordinary currency as well as virtual currency.
Key value propositions, as you can see there, are sustainability, i.e. what happens to my stuff in the longer term. This is something that's occurring to people, having generated a lot of content online, is what happens to it. Not only who owns it, but where is it, what is it, who earns from it, and how do the platforms that hold it last. So that's a key consideration for us, and potential revenue stream, the understanding that the site needs to be sustainable to safeguard people's intellectual property, their content, if you like. And that goes hand in hand with privacy in the transmission of that content and its storage, as well as the physical storage itself. Advertising, a more conventional revenue stream. Yes,
but contextual, because it's not focused on you, it's focused on your interest. We'll be focusing on smart data, not on big data.
Great, and another key value proposition for OurNet is the user being in control, being... if there's any centralisation, it is a centralisation from the user perspective, rather than the user being a commodity in another game entirely, which is now the experience, or what people are realising about their part in social media is that they are an asset in somebody else's transactions. What's going to be increasingly important to people is that they feel at the centre of their own content in terms of ownership, in terms of privacy, and that it's there for them, not that they are there for somebody else.
Absolutely. And to that degree, people will have complete control over everything which they published. They can delete anything that they published. They can grab it all back. They can... any private conversations will be completely private. They won't be recorded.
And there will be a value in that.
And there'll be a value.
And I think people are beginning to realise that as well. So, do please take a look at our website and sign up there, OurNet.news. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. We also have Twitter at OurNet_news. Do think about joining the team if you have the skills and attitude that we're looking for, or please tell others that you know about who are in that position, who may join us, or become an investor in some way with your time, money, and ideas as well.
Just welcome any contact. Many thanks.